Hello, everyone. It's
Hey,
Andy and
folks.
Scott. Scott's got his homie. Is it homie? Your homie Coke.
My homies.
Do you remember Homie the Clown? Do you remember
Uh,
that from In Living
yeah,
Color?
yeah. From a living color. Yeah, homie, the crowd don't play that.
Good old Homie the Clown. Anyway, all right. You
Look
know
it up
what?
on YouTube after you get done watching us.
Maybe we'll retweet it. Maybe I'll just tweet it out and we'll give him a little love. It was very funny back in the day because we're old guys. Um, we got to get right into it because I'm a little out of the loop. I'm on vacation this week. You were on vacation last week. I'm going to be in San Diego next week, so I'm not real sure we're going to get one in. We'll see. If we do it, it'll be from the beach. Matter of fact, I don't think I'm bringing my computer, so I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll see. If we don't do it next week, we'll be back the following week, or Scotty can get a fill in and do it next week on his own. Here's the deal. Fill me in. Where are we at with Jonas Valanciunas? I've heard all the rumors. I know he made his statement. You and I have talked, but we didn't talk today. We pretty much talk every day a couple times. Where do you think we're at with him? I know Vic has had half the Greek nation come after him. And again, we all love Greece. No one's mad at Greece. No
No,
need to be mad here.
no. Listen, I don't think it's a big deal. I know the morning show on Altitude kind of freaked out a little bit. Um, you hold the rights to his money and to his contract. He ain't going to play in the NBA if you go through with the trade, which I think I'm sure they're crossing some T's and dotting some I's right now. But you probably want control of him. Then if he decides to play in Greece, you ain't got to pay him anything, and or you release him outright if that's what he wants to do. If he wants to be close to Europe, he wants to be home. That's what your partner Nate thinks. He wants the lifestyle close to home. I got you. Wants to be the big fish in a small pond, as opposed to if he comes here, he'll be a small fish in a big pond. And that's fine. If that's who he is, he's got kids. That's great. You know, they're going to pay him a 3-year deal, making about 10 million euros. He's going to make 10 million for 1 year here.
Right.
So he's going to make more money here. I heard some people, and I went and looked it up, and I could be wrong, or the internet could be wrong, actually. Greece's income tax over $170,000 is like 44%. So he's going to pay 44% tax, and then there's another little kind of like what Colorado's doing right now. That if you buy some ammo, you got some percent tax or whatever. It goes from 0 to 10%, which could be as much as another 10%. So if they pay him $3.5 million,
He'll only see one
probably
and a half
he's
million.
going to be probably in around a 54% tax break.
Right.
So the key is that $3 million are going to give him after taxes or before taxes, because Greece, remember, Greece went bankrupt a couple of years ago, so their tax rates are pretty high. But again, lifestyle closer to Lithuania, blah blah blah. If that's what he wants to do, good. Get his options. Then if you can release him because he wants to go play somewhere else. I don't believe he'll be able to come back to the States without playing in Denver. If you say you just want to do it for a year, I doubt that's the case. Um, and guess what? You got rid of Sarich. You saved $5 million in that deal. You didn't have to pay him 10 million. Now you can go up and say, "Hey, Al Horford, will you play it 1 year for 12 million?"
Yeah, I mean, I'd also seen some things floated of maybe you take your 14, nearly $15 million mid-level exception, break it into two players, and break it into two and get two
Well,
players.
that's fine, and I like how all the people do that. The problem is you want a backup center.
Well, I'm with
Al,
you. You're
Al,
right.
Al Horford last year played in 60 games and averaged almost 28 minutes a game. And a lot of that was Porzingis missed a bunch of games, remember, and so he started a bunch of games. He played a bunch of games, started games in the finals too. And that's the guy that he just turned 39. So at 38, he he's playing a lot of minutes for a 38-year-old. He's in great shape. He's all that. I don't think he's as good of an offensive player as Valanciunas is. He's a much better 3-point shooter than Valanciunas. I think he's probably a more mobile defender. You could really slide him in and let him play some backup to Gordon also, right? You could do like when you won a championship, your small ball second unit with Jeff Green. Now you just got Al Horford. So I don't really think it's a big deal. And the other side of the coin is you hire agents for a reason. And if an agent can get them to do one of two things, and this is what you and I did talk about. Either, hey, listen, we'll guarantee the second year of the contract. So now you're guaranteed for 20 million as opposed to 10 million euros over 3 years. You'll make 20 million in 2 years. That's more money here. They might go ahead and do that, and or say maybe he says, listen, I'm going to play 24 minutes a game, 22 minutes a game, backing up 4 and 5, and I'm going to average you 10 and 8, and guess what? 10 and 8 is going to get you paid more than 10 million a year in today's NBA.
Right.
So you promise you are picking up that contract next year, okay? So it could just be a contract thing, quote unquote money, or he's sincere and he wants to be closer to home. He's 36, maybe he's got family, whatever. Okay, there you go. And if that's what you want to do, fine. I still think you got to make the deal, and that way you'll have those options of either if he wants to play, he plays. Now I'm not going to go on what Mosier and Vic did. Screw the guy if he don't want to be here. It ain't about that. It's like these guys are children and they've never watched any negotiations in the NFL or the NBA. And if you could find a little play, what did Cortland Sutton do going into camp last year? I want my contract done. Yeah, what they end up doing? Paying him like a $1.3 million more or something like that. It was minimal. And he got
but he made more money.
And guess what? Didn't miss anything. Played in, had a great year. So this is maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's the first time we've seen it happen with the Nuggets, but this isn't. It's not a big deal. I think where the emotion comes from, Andy, is like when this happened, you and I'm in Oklahoma on vacation. That's not said very often. But when you say all of a sudden, listen, you got Cam Johnson in, who I think is a better Michael Porter Jr. For this system because he moves and he plays defense. And then you put a real backup center with Valanciunas. I mean, you and I were giddy, talking about that. So maybe there's the emotion of, hey, we just had a championship in our hand again, or at least going to fight for one. To now it's all up in the air again.
Yeah, look, you said a lot of important things there. Number one is you said the most important thing. They got to get a backup big man. We've been crying for a backup big man in this town for a long time, so they got to get that solved. And we thought they had it solved, to your point. We'll see if they don't get it solved. Al Horford's not the worst booby prize, so to speak, if that's what you get. I'd take it. Certainly better than anything you had a year ago. I do, but I'm with you. You and I have covered collectively, if you think about it, what are we on? 75 years? A lot of it's yours, but 75 years of pro experience of covering pro sports. It's always about money. There's something to me. There's still a lot of money. And look, I will say this. I respect the guy is not from this country, so he maybe doesn't hold it in his heart the way some of us do. Maybe he truly wants to be closer to home. I get all that. I really do. He's a dad. I get all that part. And if that's how you feel, sir, I respect you. You and I both told stories. You told me when it happened to you about being with the Broncos on a trip, playing the Titans on Christmas night, and you missed one of your son Andrew's last kind of magical Christmases, we'll just say. And you told me at that point when I got the Broncos sideline job, you go, you're going to feel a little bit different about this when you finally miss a Christmas. And sure enough, when I went, and in 2016, I was with the Chiefs, and I've told the story a million times about my son breaking my heart, going, Dad, when are you going to come home and put these Legos together with me? And I'm stuck in rainy Kansas City going to watch a game. I knew they were going to kick their ass. You look at your job a little bit different. And so I get that angle to it. But, Scotty, I don't disagree with you. It's an unguaranteed year.
you and I don't have an option of falling into a $3 million safety net.
Sure, that would get us closer to home. But I would also say, to your point, it's an unguaranteed year next year. What if he gets hurt? Then he loses earning power in both countries. What if, to your point, and I thought you brought up this point to me yesterday and it was great, and I think T-Bone's talking about it in the chat. Everybody just assumes because they're in countries near each other, Jokic and Valanciunas are great friends. And maybe they were at one point. But, you do get tired of your friend kicking your ass every now and again. You know what I mean? And that's happened a lot. So maybe maybe he's not ready to come here and back the guy up, or maybe he doesn't want the backup role again, stealing some earning power next year with an unguaranteed year.
Yeah, and so that's where I'm leaning to more of, let's see if we can get some of next season partially guaranteed. Now, would they cave and say, okay, we'll guarantee at least half of it? Maybe. They may even guarantee the whole thing. Who knows?
I wouldn't have a problem if they did. I'm fine with this guy being here 2 years.
I have no problem if they did either. It's funny when you talk about, maybe they're not as good of friends as everybody thinks. What's the other big guy that was in Orlando all those years? I think he played in Chicago too.
Yeah. I'm not as good with the names.
Yeah, I'll think about it in a second. But anyway,
Vucevic.
Yeah, and I know he and Joker are pretty good friends. Yeah, there could be a competitive thing there, and maybe they aren't as much boys. I saw about 30 seconds of a podcast that had Hardaway Jr. and Cam Johnson on it with somebody, and they go, "How excited are what's the best thing about going to Denver now and going to play with Joker?" And they start laughing. I think it was Cam said, "Then we ain't got to play against him." So I think that's I look at that giggle because I'm like, you know what? It's been a million years since I've been covering the Nuggets. It feels like that you finally got a guy that no one wants to handle.
Right.
Right. And listen, the Broncos have had two of those guys, really, maybe more than that, but they had two quarterbacks in Elway and Manning, where I guarantee you, listen, you remember the heydays of Elway. They got the ball down, it's a 2-point game, and they got the ball, there's a 2:22 on the clock. Guess what? You're on the other sideline going, we just lost this game. I mean,
yeah.
That's and Manning wasn't much different, right? So to have a guy like that on, that's in your city, I don't think the Nuggets have ever had a guy like that. They've had some really, really, really good players, but never a guy like that. So, listen, I think it'll all work out. Yeah, I think it'll work out. I mean, Tim Hardaway's not a young guy anymore, but he, and listen, and it's about styles. Tim Hardaway, here's the thing. I saw this. I saw a great breakdown on Bruce Brown coming back here, and he was so right. Sometimes the guy's game fits a certain systems better than others. Like I believe Tim Hardaway was starting quite a bit in Detroit, but he was knocking down threes at a high rate in Dallas. Well, guess what? He's got Luka was making all sorts of plays, getting him open and knocking shots down. Now he's got Joker. He's going to be better. Bruce Brown was a nice player, in those other towns, averaging like 9 points a game in his two stops. But with Denver, he averaged 12 in the playoffs.
Right.
Right. But his game fits better with the style they play. In fact, I'll tell you a sad side and why Nuggets fans should be excited. In my opinion, and again, I didn't even think about this. The Nuggets bench in the playoffs this year averaged 14 points a game.
Sure.
Bruce Brown, the year they won a championship, averaged 12. So,
enough said, Mike.
Yeah,
my God.
I heard that and I went, no, that can't. Is that? Oh, my, that can't be. That's right. Oh my. So anyway, listen, it's exciting. I can see why Nuggets fans were excited. I was on vacation, and you and I talked about last week. ringing the bell for Cam Johnson, at the trade deadline. And that same guy that I heard the report on Bruce Brown said, listen, he was the most desired wing player in the trade market, in this offseason. And Denver got it. So that's a hats off to John Wallace and Ben Tinzer and all the guys run that, Josh Kroenke. That's a coup. I said it last week. He shoots the ball like Porter, but he moves. He's more than a willing defender, and he moves without the ball. He's a better get to the basket, get your shot guy. I just think he's a – and listen, this feels like I'm bashing Michael, and I'm not. But Michael, I'll say it now. I've tried to hint at it for the last however many years. Michael is limited because of his back. And I don't think he put a little message out today on something. And he talked about, listen, I was going to be the first pick in the draft. And he was. That's how he was rated. Until he had the back surgery and missed basically his entire freshman year at Missouri. But that, listen, 2 back surgeries for even get on the floor for the Nuggets. That affected him. And I'll still go back to a quote that I got from a player or from a coach 2 years ago. It's a miracle the guy can play with all the stuff that he's had done on his back. So I give you that. Cam Johnson is more mobile. And I think that's what this team needs.
Well, look, I hope, because here's my thing with Michael. I'm not going to have too many bad things to say about a Michael Porter Jr. The guy went out, I think, and always played to the best of his ability. Now, again, when I say that, I don't know that they coached him to play defense to the best of their ability back in the AAU days and anywhere else that he's been. And he dealt with the back thing in college, so it's not like he played a ton of basketball in college. That guy tried to develop a defensive game on the fly in the NBA. That's not easy. You're in the best league in the world with the best shooters in the world with guys who are used to having everybody up in their chilies, you like to say all the time. And Mike, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say Mike became a great defender, but every year, and especially this last year, I saw Mike try harder and harder at it. And that's all you can ask from that guy's end of things. It's so funny because you talk about how do you get better at something when you don't even practice? You were telling us all this year, half their practices, if not 75% of their practices, were walkthroughs in a damn hotel ballroom because that's all they had time for with the crazy ass road trips and stuff. So I will never, Michael Porter Jr. to me, and it's like you name a guy off the Broncos I'll give you Tim McKyer. Tim McKyer is a well-known dude. He is a famous NFL player. He really didn't contribute much to the Denver Broncos, but guess what? He was part of their first Super Bowl team. He's always got a place in my heart because of that. MPJ was remember Alan Aldridge? You called the game. Remember Alan Aldridge? Middle linebacker for the team. I thought he was a real good player. Went and got paid after the Broncos won the Super Bowl. I ain't mad at you, man. You go do that. Mike is in that category of every time you come back, a hearty salute to you, sir, because you did something I never thought I'd see in this town. Same thing for Malone. If Malone ever becomes a coach again somewhere and he rolls in, I ain't mad at you, Malone. You all got together and did something as a Denver native I never thought I'd see here. So, but you're right. The reality, look, I keep going back to what John Elway did between 2013 and 2015. He remade the team from the best offensive team we ever saw in 2013 to a defensive nightmare for teams in 2015 because he lost to a defensive nightmare in Seattle. Don't tell me that didn't influence how he started thinking about how he had to change his team. I think it's time for the cast around Joker to change a bit. And so I'm glad that it is. Your Pistons team didn't have the identical guys on all their successful runs. Hell, the Bulls had 2 sets of guys with Jordan. It went from Cartwright to Whittington. It went from Paxson to the coach in, to Kerr,
Yep.
So now you had the same. You had Pippen, right? You had Horace Grant. You had Jordan. But the other stuff changes. And it's all right if this cast changes. I just think it's time this cast changes. So that's why I'm happy with everything that's happening. May not work, but at least we're trying something new.
I don't even think Horace Grant was on the second go round.
You might be right. He might have been in Orlando by that time. You might be right.
Yeah, because they beat him.
Because Kukoc was there, right? Kukoc was there by that time.
Yeah, because I think Orlando beat him that first year. Michael came back halfway through. Orlando beat him in the first round, and then the next year, Chicago beat him in the playoffs and won the championship, I think. And Horace, I know, was on Orlando that year. I'm pretty 99% sure. So, yeah, listen, it was time. And again, you can go back, right? Like and subscribe if you're watching this. But you can go back and see some of the older podcasts. There was a podcast we talked about sometime, it seems like this year. It might have been right after they released Calvin Booth. But when he said right after the championship, well, it's not about trying to win it back to back. It's trying to be competitive and maybe win, 3 out of the next 5 or so. Well, that means you're going to win 2 in a row now if you were to get into Calvin Booth's 3 of 5. So it was time. To make some sort of change. They did it dramatically for a team that was flirting with the second apron to get all the way underneath the first apron. They did a heck of a job. And I'll say this too. And listen, you can read all the rumors. There's been 1,000 rumors and everything else. And, ownership wouldn't let them trade Porter a year ago. And da-da-da. I think there was so much dysfunction really between the front office and the coaching staff that it was tough to maybe go out and get anything done. One guy's, well, why am I going to get this done to build him up that he's still going to be? I mean, it was just bad. But you got to give Calvin Booth, I think, a lot of credit because he put together the team that won the championship. The core was here, but he added Bruce Brown and he added Jeff Green and he added
KCP.
And I'm not sure all the moves would have been made had Colin stayed here. And I said this on the other day. To me, doesn't mean you can't be a good guy, and you never have an excuse not to be an honest guy. But to me, the biggest cardinal sin a general manager can have is to get too close to his players. Got to have respect. They got to feel free enough to talk to you when they need to, but you ain't cutting a guy or trading a guy and then taking him out to dinner. That ain't your job. That ain't your job. That to me is a guy that ain't going to win, in my opinion. And I'm not sure Will Barton would have ever got traded because Tim Connolly loved him some Will Barton. And listen, Tim Connolly's fantastic. He's a great assessor of talent. Great assessor of talent. But sometimes you got to be cutthroat. You got a guy walking out of your team in the middle of the game. You don't take him to dinner when you trade him. Don't do that.
That happened? All right. All right. Dude, that's brutal. Listen, I also think Josh, like you said, you can be honest. I think you brought up a great point. Josh had said why when he did the presser about why he let the 2 gentlemen go, he said, why would I let one guy trade MPJ when I already made up my mind he wasn't going to be here for the full vision? And he now showed with the new people in place, which clearly Tenzer and Wallace wanted to make the trade. He let him make the trade.
And with a relationship with the coach.
Right. So.
And that's big. Listen, John Wallace was here when they were in the bubble together, right? So John Wallace was, in the front office with the Nuggets when they went to the Western Conference Finals in the bubble. So he's got a relationship and had a relationship with David. So, there's more cohesion right now. That's, if nothing more, I think that adds a couple wins to your season this year. To be honest with you, just the cohesion, and then you add the pieces that you've added so far, and get it done. Listen, and you listen. You never know. People's got to stay healthy and all that stuff. But if this team comes ready to play, in shape when the season starts, don't give games away early. I think when they lost that game in Washington that made them 11-10 or something like that.
when Washington was terrible. They had what were they on 11-game losing streak at that point or something?
15, I think.
God.
But your first 21 games, you're 11-10. You know, if your first 15 games you are 16-5, which the team we saw in the playoffs is a 16-5 team. Now all of a sudden you're the second seed instead of the 4th seed.
Well, I'm with you. They need it. What's funny is with how tough the West continues to be, and it's not getting any easier. You got to think about that top seed before. After they won the championship, I kind of felt like home court advantage doesn't totally matter, and you'll be fine. Now you're a champ. Maybe it's a little less important. I'm walking that take back, frankly, Scotty. How bad would you have loved to have Game 7 at home against Oklahoma City? I know it didn't matter against Minnesota the year before, but that was a different set of circumstances to me.
Well, was it?
Well, because you had the team that was specifically designed to beat you.
Well, that's true, but you were still a healthier team. Listen, I think good teams can win. We keep talking about the Broncos. That Broncos first year, they were the 4th team in NFL history to come out of the wild card and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, good teams, it ain't going to matter, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, if you who knows? We'll see what's going to go. Listen, let's talk about 2 more things now. And we talked about it on the podcast, and you've talked on your show before. Oklahoma City's a young team, low payment, salary caps. Well, they just put up 2 big old extensions that don't kick in for another year. But that's going to get, and they still got the other guy that's going to need to pay J-Dub.
Jay Williams.
Yeah, Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams, thank you.
He's going to be needing to pay here pretty soon too. So they're going to find themselves in a position now. The key with them, they got a whole bunch of first-round picks and stuff like that they can play with. So that's good. But they're going to be sneaking up in there too. So you got to watch them. And then everybody else who freaked out, and I had a buddy of mine from Independence I went to high school with, out of the blue today. I didn't even know he follows this stuff, but he's a typical Midwest guy. Gets all of his sports information as ESPN. That's the Bible of sports talk. He goes, Joker's leaving the Nuggets? I go, no.
Oh my God.
He goes, that's all ESPN is talking about. How this is a sign the Nuggets are going to lose Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that he had declined the option, which Josh said at the presser, there's a reason why he may not want to sign it right now. Josh said at the introductory presser for the 2 GMs, he would make more money if he waits, so we'll see what he wants to do. That's why he said back then, we'll offer it. I don't know if he'll sign it. And we'll explain to him, basically, you can have security now or a hell of a lot more money later. But I knew that's what this was going to turn into because all ESPN wants is for that guy traded out of Denver. So,
yeah. So, but I don't listen. I very rarely, if they're in the game on, I very rarely turn on ESPN. But I found my buddy who's texting me from somewhere near Kansas City. Nuggets are going to lose Nikola Jokic, and I'm like, oh, no, that's what all ESPN's talking about. So, yeah, it's and I told the guy, I said, listen, he's eligible now, but he doesn't have to sign. He's got 2 years, no big deal. He signs it next summer. He could probably make $80 million more in the life of the contract than if he signs it this summer. Well,
80 ain't a little. 80's a lot.
Yeah, and listen, I don't think Joker's all about the money and all that. I think he does love the purity of sport, but let's be honest: if you're going to play and they're going to pay you, you want to play. You want to play for 45 or do you want to play for 70?
Everybody's got to be a little bit about the money in this business. I don't care who you are. Period. You don't turn if you want to turn down $10 million to help somebody out, fine. I guess I wouldn't even do 10 million. I wouldn't even do 10 million. You know what David Bruton told me one time, right? Because David Bruton, remember, he was a free agent, went to Washington right after the Broncos won the Super Bowl. And everybody kept saying Dave Bruton's going to take a hometown discount. Dave Bruton's going to take a hometown discount. And I asked David point blank on the air, I said, dude, what does that mean to you? He goes, you know what that means? That means if the offers are even, I'll give you maybe, he said maybe 100,000, 200,000. That's it. That's it. It ain't a million. It's certainly not half of what everybody else is offering. He said it's got to be that close for me to stay here. Otherwise, we start talking about $500,000. Yeah, I'm going somewhere else. That's a lot of money.
Well, especially for a player like Bruton. And listen, Tom Brady, let's throw him out. Supposedly, he was never the highest paid quarterback. And now listen, believe it or not, it was a few years ago when he was in New England, but, he's making 25. And he probably could have been making 30, 35. I'll take 25. That ain't like that's peanuts, first of all, but, 25. But how loyal were they to him at the end of his contract?
No, it's a great point. But Scotty, they also allowed him to use their branding to move his brand. Like he made his money in other ways. You know what I mean? It wasn't in the contract, but yeah, they help promote his TB12. They put it in the facility. Like they did other. We just lost Scotty. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, by the way, Maximus, thank you for being nice. All right, is he back? He's losing. I don't know.
D-Mac just jumped on after the baseball game.
No, he's already done. They got their ass whooped and D-Mac's over. I don't know what happened there. So he's been done for a bit.
Your internet's going crazy.
So can you hear me now?
You're framing up, big dog.
Folks on the chat, is it him or me? Who are you hearing? Who aren't you hearing? Because I got everything solid. I can't tell if it's him or me.
Yeah, you went black on me, and then you started framing.
Yeah, you disappeared from us altogether and said your device was disconnected. So I don't know. Whatever.
My device?
That's what this thing says. It says he's seen here is fine. Hold on real quick. So someone is asking in the chat. Here it is. Edward asks, is there anybody else you think they'd trade off that bench?
Listen, I think if they thought they could get some sort of deal for Zeke Naji, I think they would. I'll remind everybody tomorrow for the Nuggets. I'm not doing the game Thursday, but I'm doing Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday of the next week for the Summer League. But Deron Holmes, first chance to get to see Deron Holmes play since the first game of Summer League last year, and that'll be on altitude. So if you want to step in and watch that, and he's the guy. And guess what? If you can get a Valanciunas, if you can get Bruce Brown and well, you got him and Cam Johnson and Hardaway Jr. Guess what? You can bring him on a little slower now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and develop him properly, right? Don't rush him back. By the way, Stone Shooter, we appreciate you, and I hope the surgery's okay tomorrow. I'm sorry to hear you got to deal with that. Here's the question we all got: what's Zeke's future? I don't know.
I don't know either. And you know what? To be the best thing for him, and if is going to have a long career, he's got the body to have a 12-year, 15-year career.
Do you buy and stretch? Do you do that cut and stretch thing with him? And stretch his money out and lessen the cap hit? Do you use that now? Wave and stretch is what it's called. So,
yeah, I don't even know how much he makes.
That's $8 million every year for like 3 or 4 more years.
I don't know if that's big enough hit that you worry about it.
Sure.
And it might be something that you wait a year. It'll be a nice filler money in for a trade. It's too bad. He's a good kid. Listen, here's the good kid, especially right now. And I want to bring up one more topic here in a second I got to ask you about. But the Nuggets don't have like true a-holes on the team, and that's kind of cool. I guess the closest to being brusque at moments when he wants to be is probably Jamal Murray.
Right.
At least he's dropping 20 on you. I guess, hey, be a little short with the media if you want. If you're giving me 20, um, he's a good kid. He hasn't done enough to improve his. He hasn't changed his shot. He's got a hitch in his giddy up on his shot. Um, he and I know as a young guy you want to play well. And listen, when you're a bench guy and you get an opportunity, all you're doing is you're playing so hard, but at the same time you're playing not to screw anything up that you end up freezing yourself half the time. I think he falters from that. And his hands, you can improve your hands. Get him a jugs machine or something. But I'd like to see his hands better. If I were him this year, I honestly God, I'd go down to where'd he go to Arizona?
Yeah,
Uh,
go back. Find
I'd go
yourself
back.
again.
I'd go back and spend 2 weeks there and see if I could catch balls on the jug machine. I know they're football, but if you're going to catch that jug machine football, for 100 balls a day for 3 or 4 weeks, it's got to help your hands.
Could
Got to
you
help
make one
your
of those
hands.
for basketball? I mean, would it be the
No,
worst
but
thing?
but listen, if you can catch a little football point, he's flying at you like a
Yeah,
bullet. You ain't gonna catch a big fat round pumpkin flying
you're
at you.
right. You're
You
right.
know.
It's just funny because I hear you always tell me about how many guys don't have good hands. It's not like he's the only one. There's a few guys who could probably use this.
Yeah,
So
I went to a KU basketball camp when I was a kid, and I was going to be a big guy. And JoJo White, Hall of Famer JoJo White, who went to Kansas, was our speaker one evening. You got to come in a room, and a guy would come in and talk to you. And as little boys growing up in Kansas, JoJo White was the deal, man. I was a JoJo White fan. Watch him play at Kansas, then play for the Celtics, win those championships and stuff. And I love me some JoJo White. Um, and somebody asked him when he was giving this lecture, and I'll tell you the serious thing he said, and then the goofy thing he said. But for like a 15-year-old boy, you were like, you know, he goes, he goes, he goes. When I was younger, I taught myself how to juggle. He said it's easy to do. Get you a can of tennis ball, squeeze them every day, work on your hand strength, and juggle. Teach yourself how to juggle. Hand-eye coordination is great for you. If you don't have a tennis ball, he goes, use your girlfriend. all, all the like, all the like, I know
uh,
it's probably not real politically correct now, but all the 15 and 14 and 13-year-old boys like,
well,
come on now.
hey, if you're that age, you were lucky that you had anything to practice with when you go. I mean, good for you. So
Yeah, good for you.
good for
But
you.
but again, this is a guy maybe 50 years ago when they didn't have some of the technology. I don't even know if they even had a jugs machine, back then. But they were worrying about hands, and the big thing about being a good basketball player, and that was always the thing that I was credited with and scouted on, that I had great hands. Um, but they're talking about how do you improve your hands. So as simple as that sounds, Zeke Naji, go get you a can of tennis balls and teach yourself how to juggle.
Yeah. I hope.
And
Look, I
hey,
hope it
by the way, I
happens.
came back from camp. I came back from camp and spent the rest of the summer teaching myself how to juggle.
Well, you know what I think is funny is that again, it also goes back to we don't need to go on the old man rant right now, but I'm working with a buddy's kid who wants some lacrosse training. You know what I told him? Have you ever played some basketball? No, not a lot. Well, then go play some pickup basketball and go to the rim. Get around a guy, go to the rim, react to the guy that comes over defensively to you, figure out I'm either going to the rim or here's my outlet. If he comes over, the eyes are the same a lot in basketball and lacrosse. And I just told him play other sports. You're talking about you don't need to spend your whole time doing the one thing. Develop all, especially young,
Yeah.
like you're talking about, develop all your motor skills, not just one for one sport. But we don't need to
And
belabor the point.
I was a pretty good fielder in baseball. And just while we're on this rant talking about it, I would spend hours in the front of my house. We had these old I lived in a house when I was growing up for majority of my time from young age till 15, so for 10 years at least. So we had these old, and the house was built in 1876. And I know that because it was pictured in our town centennial in 1971. Uh, the independence was established in 1871, so it was 100 years. They had all these old houses, and there's the house I'm living in. It was built in 1876, so not quite 100 years old. Still standing today, by the way. But I would sit out there with a tennis ball or one of those hard rubber balls, the ones that bounce pretty good, but they're hard. And I would pitch and throw the ball up against the steps, kick off, and have to catch it and move. Dude, I'm telling you, I think stupid stuff like that helped me as I got older with my hands.
Dude, I did
It
that.
helped me in basketball.
I did that all the time. You and I were latchkey kids. Mom and dad weren't always around. There wasn't someone always to play with, and there was none of the video games or phones. I did the same thing. I had a rubber ball like you were talking about, so it wouldn't break anything, and just off the step. So not only did you get good at catching it, you also figured out where you had to throw it so it would come right back to you.
Yeah.
And then when I wanted to be a catcher in baseball, I would go squat down in my backyard and throw it off the neighbor's garage. And then that way you were ready for wherever. You didn't know where the heck it was going to go. All right, so this is an interesting question from Jake. Now, I don't know why everything's green, and I hope you didn't really pay $4.99. He says, what do you think about Michael coming back after the contract's up? Do you think there's ever a chance they would revisit the MPJ thing at a more, favorable price, or do you just think we're moving on?
I don't think anybody has planned that ahead and said, hey, we'll come get you in 3 years.
Sure.
Because let's be honest, if he goes there, he's young enough. He's only 26. He goes there and lights it up in Brooklyn.
He'll be more than 150 player or whatever he was, right?
You ain't going to be able to afford him.
Yeah.
So now, if he goes there and bombs, you might get him on a Bruce Brown deal where he comes back here and, plays for the minimum. Maybe he likes it enough here. I don't know. Listen, he's also got some bad memories while living here, too.
Sure. Yeah. His family always kept finding ways to throw him curveballs. That's, you know what? They always say make the main thing the main thing. Michael tried to do that no matter what was going on. So, again, I admire how he went about his business. But that, look, this team, you and I talked about it. This team needed flexibility. And, in the old cap rules, this contract wouldn't have been that big a deal. But it's not the old cap rules, and you can't have 3 maxes anymore, really. And let's be honest, you've pointed this out to me a number of times. They don't just have 3. That Aaron Gordon's close to a max, even though it's not really a max. They had a lot of money tied up in 4 dudes, and the new NBA ain't going to allow that.
Right.
So Michael was the most tradable guy, and you got it done, and now it feels like things can flow again, and the water isn't all dammed up anymore.
Now you can do like you did when you won the championship that year. You can find 2 or 3 ancillary pieces around you that'll be big impact players for you, and it looks like they're doing that, to be honest with you. Hey, to answer Edmund Wright, why did the Nuggets let Trey Alexander go? One, I believe their options to put him in the G League were done.
And I'm sure he wanted to play, bro. He didn't get a chance. You didn't have a point guard last year. The guy topped out in the G League. You couldn't get on the court. I'd have left too.
Well, okay. Listen, there's a big difference being all state in 2A and being the first round draft pick in the NFL.
No, I hear you, but if you I feel like Trey is saying if I can't beat out Jalen Pickett, Now, look, to your point, maybe I ought to come back and see how the new coach feels about things. We don't know that. I don't think DA has shown us anything that says he's in love with Jalen Pickett.
I talked with somebody late in the year, and the guy I talked to, and now I would probably tell you now, but I don't remember who it was. I know it was somebody with the team. They thought he was too slight.
You're talking about Alexander?
Yeah, he gets bumped off the ball too easily. He's just not strong enough, and they're not sure he's ever going to develop. I think he's gonna be one of those guys who'll bounce around a handful of years, play in Europe for 5 or 6 years, and be the king of the YMCA, in his 30s.
Hey, I'd have taken a little of that. taken a little of that NBA lifestyle and come back and been the king of the YMCA, the king of the Denver Athletic Club because you'd have the money to join.
How about,
So,
I just heard this today, who I'll miss him and I love him to death. Ryan Bowen's taking over the job and going to be the head coach for the Gold now, their G League team. And
where'd Andre Miller go?
Andre Miller left. I was told during the playoffs sometime that they thought he was going to take an assistant job at the University of Utah.
Oh, really?
So I haven't heard. I tried to look it up today, but I don't know if that's true or not. That's where he graduated from.
Right. I know that.
So let's keep an eye on the University of Utah. Let's see if he's going to end up there.
Won't be okay. It's too bad because I thought
he did a great job there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you know what? Hey, you know what? I love Ryan Bowen. Big fan of Ryan Bowen's. I'm glad he's going to end up somewhere,
well, and a chance for him to be a head coach and see if this is what he really wants to do. And listen, Mark Daigneault won an NBA championship, and he cut his teeth in the G League. So, Ryan's still young enough age that he can go down there and have a couple good years down there, make something happen, and who knows?
All right, because I promised it in the tease.
Well, I got a question before you do the tease.
Okay.
You think anywhere, any place, Russell Westbrook is going, dang it?
I understand and agree with your sentiment. I don't know if he thinks that way. You tell me. Look, this dude feels to me like, hey, do you think he'll get $5.5 million from somebody? I mean, what was funny was there were all these rumors, and he was, Bovada had him going to the Heat, and he was going to go to the Knicks, and now he's not anywhere, right? He hadn't signed yet, has he?
Yeah, he could be one of those guys that's a late signing guy. I could see that. But, with the pieces you've added,
Okay, I'll ask you the tough question, and I know he's got a huge fan base, but maybe they've checked out on us now that he's not going to be here. But my question is, is he all about the chip, or do you think he didn't like playing at the discount?
No, it's the same thing as anything, and he's made $300 million in his career or something like that. So he should be okay. I don't know. I think some of the rumors of a little discord in discontentment in the locker room. I think, and not to just point fingers, the guy's not here. I think a lot of it stemmed with him. You heard the one reporter from Ramona Shelburne said people thought that certain people were getting away with privileges that others weren't getting. And I think that was a shot at Russ, to be honest with you. So,
well, the way Aaron Gordon came out and defended Russ, he certainly took it that way.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. Listen, he helped you win games last year, man. He was great. Won a game for you in the playoffs. He did some great things. He had some bonehead plays. The Minnesota game will go down in history. But listen, he did some good things for him, and he's just a different cat, man. He's a different cat.
Well, he is a different cat, but you know what? And look, I'll say the same thing for Jonas. If Jonas Valanciunas decides he wants to play in Europe because he wants to play, if you've been the dude and you don't really want to be second fiddle, I know for those of us on the outside, it's easy to say, why don't you go ahead and be, why don't you go ahead and just be the bench guy and you'll get a ring? That I do want you to be about the ring. I heard you talk about it on the radio as I was driving around a little bit today. But at the same time, I also will get it. If you've been the dude and you still want to be the dude, I don't know that I can hate you because you've been the dude, just because we say you aren't this. I mean, look, for all we know, he actually got to play in a team environment. Maybe he enjoyed it. Maybe the Nuggets in some small way reignited some love of the game inside him. And he decided, I want to be here. I want to play, I don't know. And maybe he just simply Maybe he didn't vibe with them. Maybe Russ is just at that stage of his career where he just, one and done.
Well,
going to be a little bit of a journeyman, an outlaw. I don't know.
Another thing, they could have talked to Valanciunas and said, listen, you're going to come here and play, 18 to 24 minutes a game every night. And he's going, well, them guys are paying 20 million or 20 plus minutes a night, getting paid more than 10 million.
You're right.
So he might have that might be in the equation.
Hey, listen, you can't be too far off. We just talked about Zeke Naji making $8 million. He ain't even playing. And you just said it's not a big enough number that you'd waive and stretch. So yeah, there could be something to Valanciunas going, yeah, my number's not that great. I'm not here to be a bargain. And that's where I go to. Maybe he's saying, all right, if, I don't want to get my minutes cut down and not be able to go get a better deal than 10 million next year. So we'll see. We'll see, dude. Real quick, you think the Broncos sign anybody to a new contract like Benito? And here's what I saw. I saw a video about how good Zach Allen is. And Nick Benito talked about how good Allen is to eat double teams so he can get his look. And reminded me of the way Von Miller talked about Derek Wolfe. Would you think about re-signing both those guys right now? Or do you have to sit and wait and worry about the Bo thing? See, I ain't going to worry about the Bo thing until year 3. So.
Well, I'd have to know when is each guy's Allen and Benito's contract up?
They both have a year left after this.
Yeah, I'd talk about next summer.
All right.
All right. You know what I do? If you know you want them both back, I'd offer them a lower deal.
The Chris Harris, Derek Wolfe deal. You're not going to get full market value, but if you want the money right now, here, we'll give it to you. Remember, Chris Harris and Derek Wolfe took it. Malik Jackson and Danny Trevathan said no thanks.
Yeah, and they both got paid.
Yeah,
and Malik, I think they won. I think they went to playoffs one time. And
oh, yeah. Now, Malik had a good personal career, but the success was never there.
No. Yeah,
All right. You guys have me or him? But now I don't know who got lost. I think it's just me. So somebody on the comments tell me, is it me or is it Scotty? Or did we go too long on this sucker? So it says we're still going. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Okay, so it is just me. All right. I know we're live. Thank you. I don't know I don't have Scotty with me. It's just us. There he is. Okay. All right. They're saying it was just me left that time. So you got anyway, go ahead. You're back. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think D-Mac's doing it. He gets mad that everybody's watching us, and I think he plays with it.
Okay. Nonetheless, so you'd wait one more year, even though you'd risk them both having huge sack numbers? Dude, the pass rushers are like quarterbacks. They ain't going to get any cheaper.
Well, I'd offer him, but I wouldn't offer him. Listen, this is weird because I really like Benito coming out of college. They didn't use him right his rookie year. He had a good year. It was last year's third year or second?
Benito, it's his third. He's going into his fourth year.
Yeah. His second year was okay. I'm leery on him. I think he's a little guy that's
but he's quick twitch, man. Remember, Vaughn was only 220 when he had his all-pro years. He wasn't a big dude.
But if you go back and stand up Benito and Vaughn, to me, Vaughn always looks thicker.
Okay. I'm not sure that's true, but you might be right.
You know what? You might be right. Might be absolutely right. I'm not sold on Benito.
Well, but see, I think Benito and Allen are a great combo, and that's what I try to hold on to.
Well,
because Vaughn talked about how Derek would go and eat double teams, and it would free Vaughn up to do his psycho. Vaughn was incredible. Vaughn's still incredible. No, I'm telling you, I just think, and look, you probably had at some point in your basketball career, no matter how much you want to belittle it, you still were an All-American in Arkansas, and you're in a Hall of Fame and all that. You had probably had that little, let me just give you the nod, and you and I know what we're going to do here, right?
Yeah.
Mark Schler told you and me the story about him and Nayland together where they would just do that little shooby dooby doo wop from that pop music song. And if they did that, they knew they were going to do a certain stunt. They didn't even have to talk about it. Vaughn and Wolf have the same thing going on. And Benito in the video about, I think it was Zach Allen was number 90 on the top 100, and that's why Benito was talking about him. But he talked about how we just know how to play off each other. I wouldn't undervalue that kind of chemistry is all I'm saying, especially with how good the secondary could be.
And I know it's two different positions. Both of them are outside, but look what Neil Smith brought to Alfred Williams' career.
Thank you. It's a great call. Simon Fletcher, Mecklenburg, those kind of guys, one in, one out. Just when you've got a good group, you got to keep them together. Again, frankly, we could go back and rehash the Nuggets thing. They couldn't because of the rules, which sucks, but it sucks they couldn't keep the good group together after the championship. Because Bruce Brown, there's no way if I was Bruce Brown's agent or wife or anybody, his dad, whatever, that I would say, yeah, dude, take $7 million instead of 21.
But it's also why when you get drafts and draft picks, if there's good interior, good edge guys available, you always look at them. Because eventually, if you get a great one, it's like quarterbacks, I guess. If you eventually get a great one, you know you're going to have to pay them.
You're right. Here's my thing. While I will defend Benito, he's become what they projected him to be in the scouting reports, and that's when I think it is good. So they said he had a quick first move, great first step.
Right? Took him 3 years to do it. Now they wasted his rookie year. I mean, absolutely. Maybe he was, part to blame. He was too thin or too light. I don't know, but basically, other than special teams, did he even do anything his rookie year?
No, because they couldn't trust him against the run. Like Vaughn, frankly, they couldn't trust him against the run. You know how that goes, Scotty. You called a lot of football games. Sometimes the rookie pass rusher doesn't know how to be stout and set that edge and make sure guys aren't getting outside of it.
Listen,
it constantly happened when Hackett was here.
I'm not sure that Vaughn didn't get good at it until
DeMarcus showed up and told him how important it was.
Because then after a while, he became great at it.
He did, because he knew he had to stay on the field. They told him, DeMarcus told Vaughn, you've got to be a 3-down player, dude. You got to be, and you can't be a 3-down player if you're not setting the edge and holding it up against the run. So anyway. By the way, all right, favorite movies. I don't know what to do about Jurassic Park, man. I don't know what to do about Jurassic Park. I read people were walking out of it, but there's a part of me that's like, I know it's a stupid movie. It's like the Jaws. You know what? Jaws was on over the weekend, so I watched a couple of them because it was hot. I didn't have anything to do till later on. And I'm thinking, you know what? Jurassic Park is the modern Jaws. I know what's going to happen. I know it's going to end up stupid somehow, but I like the dumb franchise, and I want to kind of go see the movie because I just enjoy the movie. But I've heard people are saying it's just way too stupid to sit through. Did you feel that way?
No, because we went to those movies where you pay $5 and you don't know what the movie is, and then all of a sudden it turns out it's Jurassic. Listen, I like Scarlett Johansson. I thought she overacted in the movie. It was okay. It wasn't the best ones. I miss Chris Pratt. There felt like there was always more danger around with Chris Pratt.
Right.
It wasn't bad. It was okay. It was okay.
If I can get me a $5 or even maybe a 10, like, aren't the morning showings cheap? Like, I don't need anybody to go with me. I'll just go. I'm not going to make anybody endure my dumb little like here. I'll go see it by myself. I don't care. But they used to do like $5 movies at like 10 or 11 o'clock. Are those long gone?
I don't know. That's a good question. You got to look and see if they're a little cheaper because there's that AMC right by your house.
Yeah, well, I might.
You know what? I will watch it again sometime. And if you really push me, I'd go. But I am an AMC card member.
You could be Roger Siskel or Gene Ebert.
Yeah. So I might.
It's Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert.
I might go back with you again, but it wasn't the best one. There are a bunch of new dinosaurs.
Well, I mean, listen, if we're really the first original trilogy, because now everybody's doing their own trilogies. the original trilogy. The third one sucks. I mean, I like it because I've accepted the franchise for what it is, but I was plenty disappointed at the time. So anyway, by the way, Old School's been on. So you're my boy, Blue. Do you remember? You know what I miss about modern radio? Modern radio's helped us do a lot of things better. I miss, for people, I wish I had something that I could give a good example of the size. My phone's close enough. You used to have things called carts that were roughly this size, and it would fit in this way, and you'd slide it into the machine, and you could play a cut right there. And you had it, Dave had it. I had to bring your little cart machine in. You had a little spinny wheel for it so you guys could play the sound effect when you told it. Like you'd play sex. If you said something sexy or suggestive, you'd play Sledgehammer in there or whatever, and you guys would just grab the cart. I miss us having the ability to do like our own. We'd always have to update the King of the Hill. Damn it, Bobby.
Well, and then we got those little machines that you could just put a bunch on, and you had the little cheat sheet around it, and you could just put it. Yeah, I miss playing my own sounds too, because let's be honest,
you had great comedic timing.
Yeah. Nowadays, you're waiting for them. You see them searching the thing. You're like, it's too late.
Never mind. The moment's passed.
Yeah. It's too late. Too late.
Now there's a count. Come on, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, the window's closed. That ball's picked off. You saw the receiver too late, brother.
Yeah. You got to throw them open. You can't throw them once they get open.
Yeah. You can't be a sight thrower. You can't wait for me to look at you. All right, it's got to happen. So, hey, last thing. Did you guys get a lot of? I don't know about you because it was funny. My buddy that lives in Wheat Ridge. Shout out to Stan who's usually watching. And you know what? Shout out to Lonnie, an old friend of mine who said he watches us every week. I went and had ice cream with him. But anyway, Stan was telling me
that. Are 55-year-old dudes supposed to be going out to have ice cream with their boys?
Yeah. What do you want us to do?
Sit at a bar 55 and have a beer?
First. You don't even drink. What are you talking about? You ain't even drinking no more.
Well, but I'd go and have a soda with you, sit at a bar, eat some peanuts, throw them on the floor.
No, first off, I was friends with his wife for a long time. I think somehow I was involved in the meeting, so all three of us went and had the ice cream together. That all right with you?
In the middle of the day.
No, it was like we went to a Dairy Queen off 44th and what was that? 44th near Kipling. And we sat there. They turned the lights off. Dude, we stayed out till 11 just BSing with each other. The thing closed at 10. I didn't leave the parking lot till 11. They literally turned the lights off. We still sat there. It was by El Jefe taco truck, if you want to know.
What's your go-to at Dairy Queen?
Well, last night I decided I'd go with the peanut butter. You know what, you sons of bitches out there? First off, we're finding out that none of the damn food is healthy anyway, so you all can F off about putting the calorie counts on the damn treats I'm about to eat. I love the peanut butter parfait, but you gotta put the big old 1,500 calorie. Can I just be blissfully ignorant and eat my stupid ice cream and chocolate? Why I gotta know it's 1,500 calories when it's 9:30 at night? I say to you, F you. That's what I say to you, okay? Funny when you were selling me the candy cigarettes as a kid and trying to get me addicted to nicotine with my big league chew that looked like Red Man. Oh, that wasn't a problem. But now that I'm just trying to get the one little sliver of pleasure I got left as an ice cream treat because I got no other addictions, you got to slap 1,500 calories and 2,000 calories. Hey, fat ass, you're already 3/4 of the way to what you're allowed to have. Again. Get that out of here. I don't need that. Jeez, dude. You know what? I went ahead and had a peanut butter parfait. Is it all right that I made myself a fat ass on my vacation? Is that all right with you? Do I have your permission?
No, I just to see what your go-to was. The only people who needs the calories up on the thing are the people that usually ain't going to Dairy Queen to have it anyway.
That's what I'm saying. They're not here. They're having the avocado ice cream with Tom and Tom Brady and his little Sterling water. Oh. My pure Grey Goose vodka. They actually filter it through the ass of a goose. There's 0 calories now. Get the hell out of here.
My go-to is the chocolate turtle pecan blizzard.
Yeah, that's good. I like the Reese's peanut butter cup blizzard. They got a s'mores blizzard, which is great. Edward says go for the banana split. The banana split's damn near 2,000 according to them, Edward. 2,000. Stupid.
Calorie counters.
Yeah.
Stupid calorie counters.
That's, you know what? I used to love the old Dennis Leary bit, No Cure for Cancer, which we could never play or get away with now. It didn't age well, as they like to say. But he talked about he talked about the guy that would go running every day and would count the fiber in his stool and all that stuff. And you know what happened to the guy? He got run over by the bus driver that had a cigarette literally in his mouth, not looking as he tried to cross the street.
I'll tell you what.
Boom, you're dead.
One last funny story. A buddy of mine, he was an assistant coach, came a GM, still a good friend of mine. Always fought weight. Wasn't a real tall guy, so he always fought kind of weight. But dude was a jogger. He'd have some strong legs, but he never could lose that belly. And so I was talking to his wife one time. He goes, I could never understand because he would jog 5 miles a day. And he's a big guy, big belly guy. So he said, I didn't have to be in at work. I knew he was going out to go for a jog. So I let him take off. I pulled out my car and I followed him. So he jogged 2.5 miles from his house. He jogged pretty good it was like a 7-Eleven. Go into 7-Eleven, buy one of those half-pound bags of peanut M&Ms, and then walk home and eat the peanut M&Ms all the way home and throw it in the trash when he got there.
That's awesome. By the way, do you have any fireworks? That's what I was going to say. My boy Stan,
Oh, yeah.
He said he didn't have any in Wheat Ridge, dude. It felt like we got an HOA letter. You'll love this. This is my neighborhood to a T. We got a new HOA that started like a year ago, and they sent us all a letter or an email. I guess it was an email going, just remember fireworks are illegal and you better report any of your neighbors that do it. And it felt like the whole town loaded up as if we were going bombs over Baghdad. It was nuts here, dude. It was just Coors Field had nothing on the things going on in my neighborhood. I had to clean up debris from the front and the backyard. I mean, it was insane. So,
Yeah, we had the lake we were on had different parts of the lake. It's so big. Supposedly it has as much shoreline as the state of California. That's how big this lake is. So on Saturday night, actually, we sat out on the deck and just right out in front of us, they were shooting them off. But I got a brother and his son. So my nephew and my brother are firework fiends.
Okay.
They are fireworks addicted. One year, my brother got, and I think the statute of limitations is up on it, so I'll tell the story. Got Class C fireworks. They're the ones that you see on the big shows, and he had these mortars, and it sounds just like, and then, like an M80 blowing up in the sky. And then, I mean, anybody out there still watching this Class C fireworks, I mean, they're like big time. I think they're illegal unless you've got license for them, but he got it from a fire marshal. It had some other
Fire Marshal Bill.
I don't know if Fire Marshal Bill confiscated them from somebody, right, at some time or something, and they just gave them to my brother to shoot off about 10, 15 years ago. But so no, and so my nephew has a son who's like 3.5. And they're out there like, I mean, he had the same thing. There's probably none in the state of Colorado because, we're I guess, fireworks, America. But he had these little tubes and he was shooting these like mortar things off too. They weren't Class C's, but boy, they were boom, and they'd blow up in the sky, man. Yeah. Dude,
we had some so loud, my son's Ranger, it rattled because it's an old car. It's a 20-something year old car. It rattled the rear view mirror off. I got to go re-glue the dang rear view mirror on because we had such loud things. And I don't shoot them, but dude, all you got to do is go outside, enjoy the show, and
So did you go sit on the front porch and watch the fireworks in the neighborhood?
Yeah. So that's what you do. You know what I wanted to do? I am jealous of the new construction. Most new construction, I love my house. I ain't too jealous. But the people that have the flat rooftop decks, you do have it going on well. I wouldn't mind having one of those to go watch, the fireworks.
That's what I sat on and watched the 30-minute one like they have at Coors Field, just literally just right out in front of us. It was really
that's
cool.
Awesome.
I'll send
All
you.
right, everybody. We should probably say goodnight. Every time we say we're going to go 30, and sure enough, it's over an hour because we love you all. Like and subscribe. Join us every Wednesday. We'll try to pull this off. I'm going to be in San Diego and not with my computer, so we'll try to pull this off, but we'll see how it goes.
You're not committed.
Not at San Diego. You're right. No, I'm not.
We'll do it. I did it from Oklahoma.
Oh, in your own damn house.
Well, you could do it from the balcony of your hotel room.
Maybe. We'll see.
We can just do a Zoom one.
Yeah, we'll see if it works. If we can go phone to phone, we'll do it. The problem is I don't know how to do it without this desktop stuff. So anyway. All right. We love you all. Say goodnight, Lucy.
Night, Lucy.